Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here, hanging out with Thomas Manning, talking cinema. And if you've watched this show previously, you know that we don't only review films. That's not the only thing we do. We also bring you filmmakers, the people behind the scenes. And Thomas, we've got a guy whose name is not a name that you typically find in Kaiser, North Carolina, or even Bellwood. Phedon Papamichael is joining us, and tell us a little bit about this guy who we've had on the show before.
Yeah. So you've interviewed him multiple times for some of his previous collaborations with James Mangold, but this is actually my first time getting to have a conversation with him. And he is the director of photography on the new Mangold film, A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothée Chalamet. And this is a movie you and I watched last week at the time that we're recording this, and we haven't stopped thinking about it for like a single second since we saw it. And we knew that if we had a chance to talk with Phedon, we had to take advantage of that. I'm so glad we did, because he's one of those guys, as you'll see in this discussion, that you can just ask him, pretty straightforward question, and he will find a way to speak about that in the most thoughtful and eloquent manner for a long time, and keep going, which we truly appreciate. We truly appreciate having people who are so passionate about their craft on here, and so this was just really a delight to have him here.
Yeah, this is a long-form interview, and we actually had a post-interview after we wrapped as well, so we're going to bring you selections from this interview. We're going to try to bring you at least 20 minutes worth of it, and we are going to be posting the full raw interview as well on our YouTube channel, so we'll have that posted and listed below as well. So Thomas, let's go to our interview with Phedon Papamichael for the film A Complete Unknown. And we're just so thankful to have you joining us today. Thomas and I did get a chance to check out an early screening of A Complete Unknown, and we're just so thankful to be able to have you on the show to talk about your work in this. And we're thankful to have you back on Meet Me at the Movies. This is, I think, our third time having you on the show talking about various films. So thanks for being willing to do this first. And second, thank you for giving us such an amazing visual feast, as I like to call A Complete Unknown.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you guys. And yeah, we're very excited, and I'm particularly proud of this one, and I feel very blessed that I was able in my career to do a Johnny Cash movie and a Bob Dylan movie. Who gets to do that? So I guess now I got to do a Leonard Cohen movie, and then I'm complete with all the people I listened to when I was young. So,
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to let Thomas dive in with the first question, and we're going to try to get in as many as we can with as much time as we have. So again, thanks for joining us. Thomas, go for it, buddy.
Yeah, well, that's a great place for me to jump in, talking about your appreciation of Bob Dylan. And I know you were born in Greece, and then you spent some time in Germany, and then eventually made your way to New York City. And that was maybe in the early 80s that you made it over to NYC, about 20 years after this film was set. So I'm just curious for you, at what point in your life you discovered Dylan's music, and when that started speaking to you?
well, growing up in Germany, so I guess I was a teen in the late '70s, and although it sort of had moved past Dylan, but I I guess should say I was fortunate, because my very, very best friend from high school, Sebastian, was absolutely obsessed with Dylan. So he really introduced me to it. I mean, to the degree where he was always walking around his apartment with the harmonica rig and the guitar, and just playing. And every time we went on a road trip, he only had Dylan. He actually liked Cash also, but I found out later. But he only had really Dylan cassettes. We'd drive all the way to the south of Italy from Munich, and so I got to be really very much exposed to it and loved it, and it was very meaningful. Later, my first marriage, he played "Stay Further Young," I remember him coming in Greece under these olive trees and playing that, and I was crying, and so I have a strong emotional connection to Dylan, and and Germany kind of was. I was 5 to 10 years behind. Like if Dylan was, let's say, big in the late '60s, he was kind of still at the height of popularity in Germany, like mid '70s for the freewheeling, and so we were always a little bit behind America, following like the trends. There was a little of a delay factor, but then moving to New York in '83, and then for some reason, all my friends ended up also with, I don't think I've a friend that's not like a Dylan fan and a Leonard Cohen fan, and it's just the kind of people you end up hanging out with, and so it was really great. So I knew a lot about Bob, obviously, but when I got the script and when Mangold, first started talking about it, which was like over 5 years ago, it was actually before Indy. Then COVID happened, and then it was like difficult to make this movie, and like New York and the clubs, and we did this tiny little film in between that dragged out for a little bit called Indiana Jones. Uh, so uh, you know, it's been a long journey to get to start it, but I think it's in the end it all timed out for the best. And Timmy Figata, I heard him recently say at a screening, like he was, because of COVID, he just got a lot of extra practice time being locked up, and he's really been at it for 5 years, and he really got just so good and better. And then, we were going to go in the summer of '23, and then there was the writer's strike looming over us. So, that gave him like more time, and also us, all the other creative crew, production designer, we had scouted it in '23, and then we had time to sit on all of it, the locations. We knew we had to shoot in Jersey, and we could just process. It's not like you're officially prepping and you're not really on, but it's nice to be able to regurgitate and sit on the material for another 3-4 months, and just really, before you dive into it, and just think about things, read the script again, look at your location pictures. So I think overall it really helped us to, also besides the fact that starting in '24 in the spring, we were able to take advantage of the change of seasons, because this movie takes place over 5 years, but we definitely wanted a little bit of an arc in terms of the palette. And when he first arrives from Minnesota, like played it moodier, winterly, so we were able to shoot like our McDougal Street, which was in Hoboken, but like before the trees started blooming, and then we're able to schedule the Newport concert scenes, which were summer, and later in the year we wrapped, I think, I'm not sure, like June, end of June or something. So it was nice. I mean, in the end, like basically in the end, it all worked out for the best and really served our story. And Timothy, just as you guys saw, it's like amazing, and really to a degree, of course it was always planned that he sings, but it's pre-recorded. But then him just going, let me do it live, let me do it live, let me do it live, and just us quickly discovering that it's even another layer of something special happening when he does it live, like the technicians go, oh, it's problematic, and then syncing, and this and that, and like recording the background noise, but it's like, it's just, you feel it. It's just talking to Scott Sakamoto, my Steadicam operator that shoots all the close-ups on stage and does these little, and he goes, we just saw it at the Academy on Sunday on the big screen. He goes, man, you can really tell he's really singing. It's great, and a lot of scenes you can't do playback. I mean, when he's sitting in his apartment on his bed and in boxer shorts, and she goes, here, sing this, and picks up that sheet of, and he starts singing Blowing in the Wind, and she comes over and she gets drawn into it, and she starts joining in, and it's like it's like you can't do that playback.
Yeah.
You can't really and the emotional connection and all that, and singing like two heads right next to each other, and that interaction. It's like you can't really go do that to a metronome.
Yeah, the authenticity of that was just incredibly beautiful. And you're right, you could feel that human connection, as you mentioned, that human connection there. Thank you guys for joining us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. We are talking with Phedon Papamichael, the director of photography, cinematographer for the film A Complete Unknown. Thomas and I are loving this interview, and we hope that you are enjoying it as well. We're going to come right back after this quick intermission with more of our conversation with this amazing filmmaker.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Education is our most powerful tool to improve and change our world. Hi, I'm Rhonda Benfield, your host for School Matters. Join me for a new program every other week with information from and about the students and staff of Cleveland County Schools. Discover what our schools are doing to challenge students and help them reach their full potential. You can catch us on Spectrum Cable Channel 19 or stream us live on C19.tv.
Hi, I'm Nikki Bliss Carroll, your host for Cleveland Connections, the show that explores what's happening at Cleveland Community College. Join us as we sit down with members of faculty and staff to discuss programs of study, upcoming events, and other exciting campus news. We'll have a new show for you each month on C19 TV, or you can stream us online at C19.tv. Tune in and connect with Cleveland Community College on Cleveland Connections.
Hi, I'm Shara Miller, the host of Artworks. Each month we bring to you wonderful, talented artists from here in Cleveland County and the region. We have artists, we have potters, we have painters, we have musicians, we have actors. We just have wonderful artists that come to you and tell you about all that they're doing, their creativity, what inspires them. Join me here on Artworks each month on C19. You can also watch us online at c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hi, and welcome back into Meet Me in the Movies. We are here talking about A Complete Unknown with cinematographer Phedon Papamichael. And we won't keep you here any further. We're just going to pitch it right on to the conversation and let you just enjoy everything that Phedon has to say about his work on this beautiful, beautiful film.
Soon, 200 people in that room, and each one wants me to be somebody else. They should just let me be.
Let you be what?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
You mentioned earlier about Walk the Line, and so you've worked with Mangold for so long now, and you mentioned Johnny Cash, and so I'd love for you to talk about, with Walk the Line, are there any specific lessons from that film, shooting a musical biopic, and or maybe techniques that you carried over, or were there some that you intentionally chose to do differently with this film?
Initially we talked about maybe trying a different approach, maybe a little bit rougher than our, I don't want to say traditional, but Jim and I were very much into composition in the way we like. You can call it classic. Yeah, I don't really want to label it. It's just the way we like. We're both kind of come from still photography and painting, and but we did learn on Walk the Line that how to create the intimacy of being on, feeling for the audience like being on stage with a performer is by being physically up close and tying in, rotating and tying in. Although we're, close-ups, but we shoot with our anamorphic aspect ratio, and you always feel the environment, and just get really creating a sense of what it's like to be him or be literally standing right next to him, rather than being objective and shooting it from the audience perspective. So it's just, really having that energy. And the other, so that definitely we carried over, or let's say rediscovered really quickly, because also it's always driven and inspired by the performer. And although Joaquin Phoenix was, also incredibly high energy and sort of a loose cannon, and you never really knew what he's going to do, where he's going to go. He's going to back up from him, might walk over, kick the drums, come back, I mean, Timothy had also, that freedom and ability to, not have to hit marks, or, we also played the song. I mean, the other thing we definitely carried over is like we always played the song through. It's not really cut for coverage. We would actually play the song pretty much back to back, maybe 2-3 times. And so we did these long takes, and just kind of had to be fluid in terms of our coverage to roll with the punches, find the, and so we were talking to the operator, but it was so loud. And Scott Sakamoto is very amazing, instinctive Steadicam operator, and had also done Maestro and A Star Is Born, so he definitely has it in his DNA already to know when to move in, know when to wrap around, know when to pull out, know when to tilt down to guitar. And so a lot of it is really just being very reactive, and us being open to and just really enjoying and taking in and finding the little moments, and then just being there for those. So a lot of that, like, less all shot listed, storyboarded. Of course we do that because you're supposed to do it, but ultimately, Jim and I mean, also with the more traditional dramatic scenes, I mean, we bring the actors into space, they're supposed to rehearse, but then Timothy's like scoping out the room, his apartment, or and then he sits over, on this armchair and gets up, and he does the next take rehearsal, like standing by the window, and then, and Jim, we're talking about, and then he goes and sits on the bed and props himself up against the wall and picks up his guitar, and then he goes, I think I'm going to be here for this. So we're all very organic in terms of everyone discovering, and us, and Jim is really great about, not locking people into certain blocking, and then and then we're reactive when we make our shot list and decide, okay, well, he's going to be over here, is great, and then she's going to be over there in the kitchen making coffee. So then we figure out the shots really quickly, and we've done 7 movies together, so it's not like we're like, okay, I don't know, now that he's there, what are we going to do? And we're pretty quick about that, and we're both really good understanding. I mean, obviously he's a director, but I'm very conscious of how a scene will probably cut, and so we're very much in sync with our language and our editorial pace and all that. So.
And there are a lot of really iconic images from Dylan's career there in that 4 to 5 year period that you get to recreate. One that comes to mind is the album cover photo shoot for the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. So I'm curious for you, as a DP, what decisions you're weighing when you're recreating such an iconic image like that, and just what some of your thought processes are.
Well, of course, and same on Walk the Line. I mean, you look at, there's a lot of photos, of course, most of them are black and white, like especially when he's living with Susie, or Sylvie, I should say, is the name in our movie, but it's his girlfriend, Sue. But so, with the production designer and the wardrobes, I mean, we do try to rebuild, and the same with the clubs, the Gaslight and Gerbies, and, just really had a lot of information. Same as Faults in Prison, in Walk the Line, we knew the pattern of the backdrop, and we had to sort of pick, was it green or blue, or we don't know, but yeah, it's fun recreating the moods. You get still a lot of, and then there's a lot of other photographers that have really beautiful, iconic stills from that era of the Village and Eggleston and Haas, and then looked a lot at those, analyzed sort of the quality of the film and the contrast and the saturation. I'm super happy with the final result, and really, I mean, I've seen it, and other people who have seen it, they go, if I didn't see photos from the set, and I know you're using a Sony camera, like, I would 100% think it's film, so.
Well, Every time we get a chance to speak, one of the things you have talked to me about is your goal of achieving that one perfect shot. And we've talked about this in every film. So was there one standout scene for you in this film where you just feel like everything really clicked? You felt it on the set, and then when you saw it, you knew, yeah, that's the shot. If nothing else, that is the shot.
It's very hard for me to pick. Like, I can't really say there's a standout scene because, I mean, there's so many moments, and it's mostly based that I think are special, and it's mostly based on Timothy's performance, you know? And I'm not talking about necessarily the big stage performance, but just like these intimate scenes. Like, I love, like we talked about that scene where they play Blowing in the Wind on the bed, you know. I think that's a special moment. I mean, there's so many. Just walking around with Elle and their interaction and at the Chinese restaurant, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of like so many. Yeah. I mean, of course, you know, the finale and all the crescendo, the final concert, and everyone flipping out, and Timmy just going for it, and that was the highlight. Shooting it because, you know, we really felt that energy, and he's really performing, and the few extras we had, you know, are really like at a concert. And I just saw the movie, and my whole experience really coming out after the movie was like, wow, I felt like, sure, I went to a movie screen, but I also felt like I just went to a concert. It's like
that feeling of being at a concert. When we left, one of the things I felt was like I'd been on a 4 or 5 year concert tour, complete with VIP passes, backstage passes, experiencing everything. And that is really something that I loved about this. And Thomas, I'll let you, and I know you've got another question or 2 or 12 that you wanted to ask, but I just wanted to mention that I did have that feeling that I had just come back from this incredible multi-year concert tour. So you capture that, you and James capture that tremendously. So what would you hope that people would take away from this film, from your standpoint, from a visual storyteller, about the music of Dylan, about the personality of Dylan, about even the time period? What would you hope that people would walk away with when they leave this film?
Well, you know, when I was reading it, I always go, you know, we kind of know like a lot about Dylan, but like I wanted to see would there be things like his impressions arriving from Minnesota to New York, and what is triggering this young person's mind to come up with these extremely relevant lyrics that connect with this generation, but not just with the young, you know, but also with these traditionalists and the folk scene, and you know, but so his discovery and what makes him tick and what makes him sit there and watch it, you know, the shooting of Martin Luther King or JFK, and what makes him sit down and write on a napkin on you know, something that's the whole world will be able to quote, you know, for generations to come. So I think that's an interesting discovery of the journey. And yeah, and then I mean, I was always hoping, because I'm always surprised how few Gen Z people actually, I mean, they know some Dylan songs, you know, but like I'm thinking maybe it will, you know, it seems a lot of it is very relevant to today's political world, and you know, maybe they'll discover, it'll bring, you know, it to a whole generation that will actually maybe listen to, you know, in a different way, to want to discover. And I think Timothy, of course, is the ideal person to connect, and Timothy's also, you know, so charming, and so I think it's a good way to yeah, convey sort of with the charm and with what young Bob Dylan actually was and how he affected people. And then, you know, it'd be great if all these 18 to 25-year-olds really get into Dylan, you know. It's just like when you discover young film students and they haven't seen a lot of the classics, I'm always shocked, you know. They haven't seen early Kubricks or Godards or Truffauts or Kurosawas, and you know, when you show those movies to them, they love them. It's just like they won't go out and get Criterion Collection, they'll get Netflix or something and watch those things. But when I make them watch them, then they're really into it. Like my son, like he's been wanting to watch Yojimbo and all these Kurosawa movies like over and over again. And those are slow 3-hour movies that are very, dialogue heavy. And so they still work, and this music will work always, for everybody. So anyway, it'd be nice to see that happen, besides just everybody being entertained by it and having a good time at the movies.
Well, we appreciate so much you taking the time. It's been wonderful as always. Always wonderful to be able to talk to you. And if you would hang on for just a second while we wrap things up, we will get right back to you. But again, thanks for taking the time, for joining us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. Look forward to having you back for the next movie as well. Thanks again to Phedon Papamichael for taking the time to be with us. Thomas and I, as we mentioned earlier, we talked to him well after this interview wrapped. We had kind of a post-interview, and it was just wonderful. And we have had him on the show a few times. We will have him back again, and he's even said, "Hey, I hope I do something else that you will enjoy talking about." Thomas, any final thoughts you want to make sure you share about this interview before we send it back to C19 with more programming?
I just think his entire career has been so amazing. Going back, you look at some of the people he's worked with, in addition to Mangold, Alexander Payne, Wim Wenders as well, and John Cassavetes. And so basically from the time that Phedon was my age, even younger than my age, he's been on the ground just churning out fantastic cinematography. He started out, I think, in photography and then got into cinematography. And it's just been awesome to go back and explore everything he's done, and then obviously everything he's going to continue to do for quite some time, I'm sure.
We appreciate you guys joining us right here on Meet Me at the Movies each week on C19 TV. And Thomas and I both encourage you to check out this film, A Complete Unknown. It is one of our favorites of 2024. It is a phenomenal film, and it will give you this sense of mystery, of wonder, and of just the power of music. So we encourage you to check that out. And until next time, for Thomas Manning, I'm Noel T. Manning II for Meet Me at the Movies, and for this week, that is a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.
Takes a Roxanne, girl, baby, make a solid road, make a solid road. Takes a good woman, mama, to satisfy my weary soul.